Good morning, I think everyone. Kaito here. Welcome back to part two of why I love. Dang it, I still having that mindset when I was recording a referenda. Welcome back to another episode of why I love Seirei Gensouki Spirit Chronicles. I'm gonna just call it Spirit Chronicles from this point forward. And spoilers for people who are probably coming here for whatever reason. There are spoilers here when I talk about it, and a little, not really an announcement, but I picked up three mangas today. Not really. I didn't pick them up today. I got them in the mail in a while. But the Misfit of Demon King Academy. I love the anime. I loved it so much. This is the manga, and I think the light novel is going to be produced soon. And I hope to get it. And it might be, and my top three favorite light novels might turn into my top four favorite light novels. If the light novel is just as good as the anime. I love the anime. I love the manga. So I can't wait. But yeah, I just wanted to show off the Misfit of Demon King Academy. But that's on my table. But I'll put it here on the side because that's not matters. Okay, um, so I'm not gonna say yesterday because I actually took a 2 day break after recording the first one. So I haven't uploaded the first part on YouTube because I didn't want to upload it, and then there'll be a 2 day there'll be a 2 day delay, and then you'll get the part two next time. So I decided to wait until I record part two, and then I'll upload part one there. So there's not a big break. I was just tired, I kind of felt burnt out, and I just wanted to rest. So that's what I did for the past 2 days. I still have my cough, but anyways, so after I finished recording part one of Spirit Chronicles with the Why I Love series, I face palmed because, like, literally as soon as I ended it, I like reclined in my seat, and I'm like, crap, I just remember some of their names. The spirit who I couldn't remember, Aisha. When I reclined in my seat, I'm like, damn it, her name's Aisha. And then I'm like, and I'm pretty sure the one of the girls' name is Latifa. Latifa. And then I remember, if you've read this, or yeah, if you read it, because you don't see them in the anime. Miharu, Aski, Masato, Taka Trash. I remember him. And then I remember Flora, the second princess. And I'm like, how did I forget her name? Like, I actually have a character named Flora in one of my novels, and I completely forgot her name. I was like, damn, what was the second princess name called? I'm like, and after thinking about it, I'm like, why couldn't I remember it when I was doing the recording? Now I just felt like I was just uneducated, and I just forgot the character. And I'm over here remembering. I even remembered Ruri and what's her name? Seiyo. I even remember them, and I didn't talk about them. I'm like, Ruri and Seiyo. Oh. I just forgot a whole bunch of people. Like, I started remembering a whole bunch of people, and I'm like, really? I'm thinking to myself, just really, Kaito? You couldn't do it while I was talking about it. I had to do it. I had to remember after it. Now I just look like an idiot. But I did also read up on some of the other characters. Just kind of refresh my memories. I don't remember all of them. Like the majority of people who I don't know are mostly the heroes. The only heroes I do know is Takatrash, and is her name pronounced Satakuri? Satakuri. I was reading it, and I'm like, I didn't know if I said it right. But and I also remembered one of the king's name. I always call him Francisco, but that's not his name. I think his name is like Francesco, Franos, something like that. But I was calling him Francisco. Every time when I was reading the novel, I call him Francisco because that's just the name. I know of Francisco, and when I read the first part of his name, that's what it's my mind autocorrects it to Francisco. Yeah, so King Francisco, which is the father of Charlotte, and I also remember Lise. I don't like how her name is spelled. Lise Loette. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Lise Loette. But I just always call her Lise. Let's see if I could. Lise. Lise. Is it Otte or Lotte? Because it's Lise Loette. So Loo, not O, not two O's. Let's see. Liselotte. I think that's how you spell her name. But I can't pronounce it, so I was just called her Lise. But I remember her name. Anyways, okay, so let's get on to the review. So I left off with basically how Rio or Haruto, again, depending what name comes to mind first is what I'm gonna call him. I'll even probably call him Rihuto, something like combining their names. I'm pretty sure I'll do that one time. But so basically, like in the anime, if you've seen the anime, it follows the same plot. When Ryu climbed from the cliff when he saved Flora, the nobles were talking about how it was Rio's fault, not Ryu. Rio's fault. They're shifting the blame on Rio, and Flora was saying like, "No, he saved me. It wasn't him. It was you." I don't remember if she actually blamed one of the actual guy, and so they're like, "No, it was Rio. It was Rio. It was Rio." And like Flora tried to get Christina, her older sister. I remember her name now because again I had to re-educate myself on their names. Christina, like, do you believe me? And she just said, I'm glad you're okay. Let's just finish this. We'll go look for Rio later, something like that. I don't remember what exactly happened. So Rio, he's like, well, I mean, this is a good time to dip. And that's when he went to go meet Professor Celia, tell her that he's leaving, and, tells her where he's going. They'll send letters to each other. He leaves, then he goes into that cafe, meets the mother and daughter that talked about in the beginning of part one. The sister of the nighttime worker from that you would think it was just a throwaway character, and then he leaves. He's going to, I forget what the kingdom is called, but this other kingdom, Galeris. I don't remember the kingdom's name. That's the one thing I don't remember is the kingdom's names. I didn't educate myself on that because I don't really like. I could see it and I know what kingdom they're talking about, but I just never thought to remember their names. For a review. Again, this isn't a review. This is just a Why I Love series. So I never thought to learn their names. I'll have it in my memory when I'm ever doing the review. But so and he eats at this tavern kind of building. Rio, he gets into a fight, and the girl's kind of mesmerized by him, and he leaves. I don't even know if she like remembered his, like she asked for his name or not, but that doesn't matter. Then he meets the Rika Guild. Is it Riki Guild? Rika Guild? Something guild. Run by Lise. Lisoette. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing her name, because Lise sounds weird to me. It's not. I don't think it's Louis because there's no U. I believe it could be a mistranslation. Maybe they does have a U, but I'm sure her name's Lise or something. But I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. But I'm calling her Lise. He meets Lise, but he doesn't know her, that she's like the leader of this guild because she's dressed as a maid. I'm pretty sure. And in this guild, they have like a lot of Japanese stuff. They have like undergarments. They have like Japanese inspired food. It's not like 100%, but like noodles and stuff like that. So he suspects that maybe like the leader of this guild is like, maybe they're transfer like him. I'm calling them transfers. I forget what they call themselves. But like, he's like, maybe it's another person from Japan that either that was reincarnated into this world and passed down his knowledge, or whatever. He doesn't know that, but he thinks that, but he doesn't know it. So he buys some supplies and then leaves. While he's leaving, he gets into a fight with the demi-human fox girl slave, demi-human fox girl slave, who turns out to be Latifa. Every time I say Latifa, I feel like that's a different anime, but I'm pretty sure it's Spirit Chronicles. But I feel weird every time I say Latifa because I feel like that's from somewhere else. But um, anyways, so he gets into a fight. He easily manhandles her, breaks the collar of his slave because she thought she was gonna die if she can't kill him. And he kind of saw her struggling, so he frees her. And then she starts following him because she's afraid to be left alone. She has nowhere to go. She's a slave. And Rio reluctantly takes her with him. And they travel through no man's land, basically fighting monsters. And then that's when they meet. They sleep in a forest. And they're confronted by demi-humans who think Rio is a slave capture tamer or whatever. They think he's an enemy. Because he has Latifa with them, and they saw him put her to sleep with magic. So, and that's another thing I didn't make a comment about is the magic. There's two different magic systems, spirit magic and a different type of magic. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'm not going to go into it because again, that's not really part of my review of Why I Love It. It's a mini review, I guess you'd call it, but the Why I Love series. I'm just giving you basically a rough outline of what's been going on so far, and then I'll give like my full summary of why I love it. It's pretty much what I try to do. I was kind of having like that's what I did with Arifureta, and I was kind of struggling with World's Strongest Rearguard because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And then after I did that, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, I'll give kind of like a rough summary of the road of how the story's going, and then give a why I love series and stuff like that. So that's what I decided to do. So that's why I'm giving like a rough summary of the volume so far, the story so far. So that's why I say spoilers. But anyways, um, so he meets the spirit folks. They're demi-humans. You know, there's birds, foxes, wolves, elves, gnomes, and all this other stuff. Not gnomes. What are the small people called? Dwarves. There we go. Dwarves. Not gnomes. They might be gnomes. Who knows? But so they fight Rio, but they end up capturing him, and he goes to sleep. He goes night night. And when Latifah wakes up, she's concerned. She's like, "Where's Rio?" At this point, they develop like a sibling kind of bond with each other, and she gets mad when they find out that how they've been treating Rio. You know how Rio saved her and all this other stuff, and she has a hatred for the spirit folk because of how they treated him. And when Rio was being treated, they overheard him. He was having a dream about Miharu back from Japan. He like calls out Miharu's name, but of course they don't know. They don't know what he's saying. They know what he's saying. They just don't know who he's referencing. Like he's probably having a dream. The spirit folks are there with him. And when he wakes up, you know, they kind of settle like what happened. The people who mainly captured him were forced to kind of, I guess, like Dalgoza. I don't think they did that, but they were trying to apologize profusely. But the three main ones that really matter, at least to me, from the spirit folks, is Sarah, which, if memory serves, is a fox demi-human. She's a lolly. Um, Alma is a dwarf, and Orphea. There we go. I'm like, because I remember I'm like because every time I see her name, I think of Felicia for some whatever reason, or Ophelia. I'm like, it's Felicia. I'm in my head. I'm saying Felicia. Why do I always remember Felicia when her Felicia Orphelia, and then that's anyway. So Orphelia. Okay, so Sarah, a wolf, Lolly. Technically, they're all kind of lollies, I guess, except for Ophelia. She's like the more mature of them. Alma, which is a dwarf, and then there's Orphelia, which is a elf. And they all have like contracted spirits and all this stuff. And then that's where Rio finds out that he has a spirit resting within him, a high spirit, like a high level spirit. So they said, hey, you know, when basically the gist of it is, hey, when you wake up, when the spirit wakes up, come back, introduce us. We can find out more stuff like that. And then he's like, all right. And then something happens. This character has been introduced, Reese. Reiss or Riess, one of the two spellings. And I don't know what he is. He might not even be like a being from this world, but he's been introduced by this point. He's, I guess, the main big bad. He usually plays like a side character, but he's mostly like the mastermind. He's like the strategist of the bad guys. But so he goes and steals this egg, and they fly over the forest where the spirit folks are, in order to kind of like get the dragon of what they stole the eggs from, or wyverns, I forget what they were, and they kind of attack them for, again, he's like the mastermind, and I can't tell you the exact plans of what he does, but the dragon comes with a whole bunch of army of like little dragons, maybe they're wyverns again, and they start fighting, and Rio saves them. You know, he joins the fight, and Rio and Latifah kind of got into like an argument because Rio wanted to leave Latifah here at the Spirit Folk Village while he goes to Yamata, something like that. He's going back to where his homeland was. I didn't mention this, but the reason why Rio left the kingdom he was in after being accused of trying to murder Flora, I guess, he's going back to where his parents live to kind of, I guess, inform them that they're dead and kind of like build a mini grave for them there. That's like her whole journey of why he's going. I don't think I mentioned that, and I probably should have, but better late than never. So he decides to leave Latifah there while he goes to Yamato, whatever, again, that region. and they get into an argument. He doesn't want to take her because she's demi-human, and these are basically her people, but she wants to be with him. But he's saying, you won't be happy with me and all this other stuff. This is kind of when he kind of wants to go solo, because again, like, he's also thinking about the revenge route, because his mother was murdered, and he knows who the murderer is, and he's also like, that's a side mission for him, looking for his mother's murderer to kill him. But he's also having a conflict within himself, because he has, again, Haruto's memories, and he's still struggling. Am I Haruto in Ryo's body, or am I Ryo with Haruto's memory? So that's he's still kind of like conflicted in that, like, he knows murder's wrong, but he also wants to kill him because he took his mother away from him. So he's kind of like balancing both personalities, like what's right, what's wrong. He's still trying to juggle that within himself. So, but then Latifah runs away. The Wyvern Dragon, whatever you want to call it, comes. Ryo fights it. After that's done, Latifah kind of, I guess, agrees and like, yeah, I'll stay here. They have their bittersweet moments. They hug it out, and so Ryo leaves, and he gets to the place, and he goes village to village, and then he gets to this one village where he actually ends up finding his grandmother in this village. She's the village head, and he meets his cousin, Ruri, Ruri, Ruri. I think it's Ruri. He meets her, and so they start spending the nights. They talking about how they talk about Ryo's father, the mother. They're dead and all this stuff. Ryo visits their grave. He gives like a small prayer. And then he also meets Ruri's friends. He meets Sayo and her younger brother. I think it's younger brother. It could be older brother, but for some reason I'm remembering in the anime he was younger brother, so that's why I kind of. But I feel like in the light novel it was older brother. But anyways, Shin, I'll just say her brother Shin, and Shin was kind of jealous of Ryo because he could kind of do everything, and he felt like, damn, like, this guy just shows up and starts one upping you and everything. Like, what do you do? Like, he's a hunter, and then he's like, I've been hunting for like 10 years. Example, I've been hunting for 10 years, and this guy shows up out of nowhere and just out hunts you. Like, what the heck? So he kind of feels like, and it's a guy thing, like, I think guys will understand, like, when you work hard for something and then this guy comes, you don't know his background and everything, but he still like outperforms you in something that you felt like you could do. Like, it kind of hurts a little bit, right? Like, that pride hurts. But anyway, so Shin doesn't like Ryu whatsoever. But anyways, so Ryu wants to find out more about his parents, but but the grandma said, I forgot what her name was called. Or her name was not what her name was called. I forgot what her name was, but she says they're gonna have to wait because she got to get permission and all this other stuff. And then so Rio's helping out in the village, helping out with the farming, building stuff. He still keeps up his training. And Sayo, where did I get Sayori from? Sayo like starts developing feelings for Ryo. The longer they spend time together. And then so taxation, I guess, is coming up, and to the how you pay taxes is the stuff you're growing, you give a portion to the kingdom, I guess. And so this guy's coming, I guess, to inspect it, or I don't know what he's coming here for, but to collect it. Basically, at the end of the day, he's going to collect the goods. And then there's a small people that travel with them, I guess, for bodyguard protection. Ryo is selected with Sayo, and I don't know if Shin was going as well, but some other people. And the guy comes, he spends the night. There's some trouble with the son of the village chief of another village. Like, he tried going into the bathroom that Ryo built, like the washroom, not the bathroom, but the washroom. He tried going in there while Ruri and Sayo were bathing, and Shin and his group are like they're starting a fight, and and the village chief's son just like starts beating the crap out of Shin. And Ryo comes, the grandma comes, and Ruri, I don't know if she's the one that got them, but they come and they're like, stop, I apologize, just whatever. And he says, oh yeah, well, we stopped at this village because our cart had a broken tire, so we decided to stop here and get some help. And I think it was implied that he and Ruri were gonna get married, I guess, to unite the villages or something. Don't quote me on that, and that's not really that relevant. I just wanted to bring that up because I think he was talking about Ruri being his future wife, but again, that's not really that relevant. So when they're in the hut, they talk about how they're gonna assault Ruri, and Rio kind of suspicious. Oh, and wait, before all this, when the village chief's son was leaving with his entourage, he by accident bumps into Rio to kind of like, I guess, wound him. Be like, whoops, but then he got hurt instead. Like Rio didn't even budge. He's like, ow, are you okay? He didn't say ow. He just like, are you okay? And the guy's like, oh shit, that hurt. But you're like, yeah, I'm fine, and then just leave. So Rio kind of he suspects something, so he places countermeasures, and by this point, the guy who is gonna do the whole tax thing with the crops and everything, he's there too. I think he sleeps also with he's like a younger guy. About him and Rio are about the same age. If they're different in age, it's not by that much. Appearance wise, I don't remember if they give his exact age, but he's also sleeping either in the guest house or in the guest room with the village chief, which is Rio. I don't know her name, so I have to call her village chief. Rio's grandmother. Rio's grandmother. So they're sleeping, and that's when the guy comes in, the village chief's son. He comes in with his entourage. He breaks in, and he gets on top of Ruri and like is holding her mouth down. Like he's gonna assault her. And then like Seiyo, she says she didn't after the confrontation with Shin and that guy, the village chief's son. She didn't feel safe, or Shin said he didn't feel safe having Ruri at not Ruri Seiyo at the house with him because I don't think they have parents. They might be orphans. I don't know. I don't think that was ever explained. But he'd say Shin told he was reluctant to, but he said, I don't feel like Seiyo will be safe at the house. Rio, I know you're strong. Protect her. I want her to sleep over with you guys at least until like they're gone, something like that. And Rio agrees. He's like, yeah, they can sleep over. So Ruri and Seiyo were sleeping in the same room. Ruri was being assaulted. Not like she wasn't being assaulted, but like the guy was on top of her with his mouth on her mouth, like preventing her from screaming. And Seiyo woke up and he basically said, if you scream, I'll punch her. I'll punch Ruri. It was Ruri. I think it was Ruri. So she kind of like she was shocked and like scared, and and Rio he planned for all this. He had like a little in the anime. He put like a little device in the corner of the room that senses disturbances, and he sensed all this happening. So Rio he kind of like went into action. He stealthily took out his friends that were hiding in the shadows. Not they weren't really hiding like perfectly like ninja like in the shadows, but they were hiding in the shadows. And Rio was there taking them out, and then like he kind of uses magic to light the room up, and he sees the guy on top of Ruri. He's holding her like by the night. It's not really a nightgown, and I don't know if it's a kimono. What is it? It's like a kimono, but you use it to sleep. I don't know what it's called, but he's like holding her, and it's slightly open, where it's kind of like revealing part of her cleavage, not her whole bust, but like part of the cleavage. And the mental image he got is like, like instantly when he saw that the village chief's son, when he saw him on top of Ruri holding her like that, the image of his mother being murdered flashed in front of his eyes because Ryu was there. Ryu witnessed his mother being murdered, so it's kind of like scarred in his mind. So he just went into overdrive. Like he grabbed the guy, threw him out the room, and just started pummeling him. Like he was. Can I find the art is really okay. The credit for the artist is Rive, and the story is of course by Yuri Kitayama. But let me find the whoa. Let me just show this right here. Again, all credit to Riv. I love their art. I love a lot of arts. Like this is a part of their art, just a background. Like I love it. But let me see if I can find the scene that, like when I was reading it and I saw it, I'm like, oh, like I got goosebumps seeing Rio like that. Like he was mad. Let's see here. Is it this one? Yes, it is. Okay, so this is the scene. That's Ruri, that's Seiyo, and that's Rio just beating the living daylights out of him. That glow in his eyes, like that's a really good shadow effect. Like if you really look at it, you can see the outlines in his eyes. Like it's not that dark. Like you can see. I don't know if you can see it but you can still see his eyes, like the outline of his eyes is dark, but you can still see it, and then just the glow from his irises, I guess, and it's really sick. And I got goosebumps seeing that art. I'm like, oh snap! But it was the guy who came to collect the taxes. I don't remember his name, and I probably should have like looked his name up, but I didn't because he's not that important. But yeah, so like he's the one that pulls Rio off. It's like, Rio, stop! You're gonna kill him. And then like that's when and like, you're scaring Ruri and Seiyo. I don't think he said that, but he looks over and he sees that they're scared, and he kind of sees like, oh crap, I gotta stop. He heals them a little bit, and then he stealthily uses it, but he uses magic to make the guy confess his sins, that he was gonna assault Ruri and Seiyo. I don't think he actually named Seiyo, but because she wasn't supposed to be there to begin with. But he said he did admit to he was gonna assault Seiyo. So the guy said, okay, well, we'll take him as prisoners, and him and his goons as prisoners, and we'll see what they do at the capital, or the kingdom, whatever it's called. So a few days later, they get the stuff, and then they start heading. Again, Ryu goes, Seiyo goes. Those are the only two people that I know. I'm sure some other people went. They go to the kingdom, the capital, whatever. I don't know if it's the actual capital, but if it is I don't know my kingdom's lore that much. But if you have a kingdom, is the capital where the king and queen live? I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Because why would they not live in the capital? Anyways, but so he goes there. Seiyo and Rio have like a little date. Rio buys Seiyo something. She gets all like all blushing and like, no, I don't have money, stuff. And it's really cute. And then there's like a fighting going on. So Rio goes to check out, and this girl's being kidnapped, and Rio saves her. And then it turns out that she is, I think, either the daughter, she's someone important, and I don't remember what. But the tax guy comes back, and he says, hey, oh yeah, also the tax guy, again, I don't remember his name. Rio's grandmother gave him a letter saying, hey, give this to your father and make sure no one else sees it but your father. He's like, okay, I'll do that. And he doesn't give it to the king or queen, he gives it to his father. And then so Rio saves this young girl, and he doesn't want attention drawn to him, so he returns the girl to the guy, not to the guy. He returns the little girl to her female bodyguard, and then he dips. I think he only gave him his name. I think that was it, and then he just left. Well, then the tax guy, he has to go finish his business before he can go home, and so the little girl and the bodyguard go back to home, and they're like, yeah, this guy named Rio saved me, or this guy in black, or whatever. I forget the chronological order of this happened, but they tell his story. The son comes back, gives a letter to the father. He reads it, and he's like, hey son, do you know a guy named Rio? And he's like, yeah, he's here at the capital. And now it's like, so that's kind of how they meet Rio. And they meet Rio. So he tells them that Rio's father, I forgot his name, used to be a skilled warrior, and how they need to meet with the king and queen. So that's kind of like, okay, now I'm reading royalty of this kingdom that I just discovered well, he knew about the kingdom. He just been in here for like a few months now, maybe some years. But so now he's gonna meet the king and queen. He's like, okay, like he doesn't say this, but I'm saying this, like, where is this going? So it turns out that Rio's mother is the princess of this kingdom, and she was in love with the father, but something happened where they had there's like an assassination slash, I don't want to say slash because I don't know what was gonna happen. There wasn't like the Yamato kingdom, whatever it's called, was like was at a war with this other kingdom, but they had like a little peace meeting, and where they'll get together trying to discuss peace. But during this, like I guess an assassin or like an ambassador or something came to like assassinate Rio's mother at night. This was before Rio was even conceived. And well, when the war was going on, Rio's father volunteered for the army, and he was racking up contribution, and he eventually became assigned to be the bodyguard of Ryu's mother, the princess. So when the guy came to assassinate Ryu's mother, the father was there. Ryu's father was there. He killed him, but because now they're like, oh, now they start making an argument saying that the attack was unprovoked and all this stuff. Like they're just like mixing up a whole bunch of stuff. Like basically they wanted the war to continue, and they're trying to do some shady stuff. And they wanted they wanted the queen to be, they wanted not the queen, they wanted the princess and the guy to be executed, as payment or as punishment or whatever. But but the king and queen, Ryu's mother's parents, know that no, like this is on you, but they can't prove it and stuff like that. They're like, oh well, you could have moved the body. I don't know how all that went down. Because that wasn't really talked about. It just said that because of that, they wanted the princess and Ryu's father dead. So they instead, they were exiled, and so they went to go run. Like it wasn't agreed on. Like the war still continued because they wanted them dead, but instead they got the chance to run away from the kingdom. So a lot of people actually hate the princess and Ryu's father, which is why they went to the kingdom where Ryu was born, Burr something. And that's how Ryu was born. Ryu's father became a adventurer, mercenary, something like that. Wow, and then they did the deed, and Ryu was conceived. And when Ryu was born, or shortly after he was born, Ryu's father died, and then so Rio's basically finding about his lineage. Rio is royalty. He is, I guess, technically, I guess he'll be a prince, but because his mother was exiled, he doesn't consider himself a prince. He's like, I'm not a prince. I'm just a guy. But he's happy to meet his grandparents. He doesn't hold any grudges against them and all this other stuff. And they want to find out like what happened to the parents. What happened to Rio's parents? Like what life did he live? So Rio kind of gives them he tells them like it's not a happy story, but he'll still tell it. And they're like, yes, we want to know. Like it's eating our conscience. So he tells them, what happened when he was born. His dad dying, his mother. They were struggling for money, but she always smiled. She always talked about taking Rio back to the Yamato Kingdom, and meeting his grandparents and all this other stuff, and then how she was murdered by one of their friends who they thought was a good friend, but apparently not. How Rio was basically was raised in the slums after that, his harsh life. How he saved I don't know if he actually talked about saving a princess, going to school and all that stuff. I don't know if he talked about that, but he at least talked about his parents and the slums. Because at the end of the conversation, the king and queen, former king and queen, I don't remember if they're former, like if they stepped down and someone else took over, but I do remember that. But they're his grandparents. That's all you need to know. They were crying at the end because they're they kind of blame themselves, and they're like, I'm sure you hate us. And Rio's like, no, I don't hate y'all. Like, they did what they did, and like he understands. Like, I can't blame y'all. Like, I understand y'all are put in a difficult position yourselves. And so they talk about saying how, well, what's Rio planning to do, and he talks about revenge. And they said, well, they kind of try to talk them down from revenge, but they say, if you Rio's like, I know where this path is going to lead me, and I accept it. So they said, all right, well, if you accept it, we can't stop you. And then he says, well, do you want this other guy, the friend of the father, to go with you, like to help you, right? And he said, no, I can do this by myself. And he shows how he could fly. Rio can fly, by the way. And they're like, okay, well, one condition we have is to beat him, because he's him as in Rio's father's friend. I forget his name, but Goki, I think it's Goki, something like that. But the condition is to beat him. If he could secure a win against him, they'll feel safe. Like, they just want to feel safe that he could go alone. So they fight. Rio wins, and then some other stuff happens at the kingdom, not really worth mentioning, and they go back to the kingdom. They go back to the village. Of course, also the king and queen, former king and queen, also want to meet Rio's grandmother from the village. So they kind of set up like a meeting and all this other stuff. Goki also wants to go meet them and all. So kind of like spend more time with Rio, basically. But actually, I don't know if the former king and queen / king and queen, I don't know, Rio's grandparents, I don't know if they actually do want to go to the village right then and there or later. But I'll talk about that in a bit, because I'm already at 34 minutes. So I'll end it here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you like it. And deuces. Peace. Bye.